Hello, this is Minister Wilson reading Letters to New Pastors by Michael Jenkins. Again, never observed this. He saw that the razor's edge we walk when we properly love our congregations is especially dangerous because much of the time we must charm people into righteousness. We must come alongside them and hear the gospel with them and help them see the new realities the gospel opens up for us all. The language of aspiration, in other words, is more appropriate for the preaching of a pastor than the language of condemnation. James Torrance always used to say that the gospel is written in the indicative rather than the imperative mood. And I've always believed that pastors tend to be more persuasive when they initiate the gospel's approach and preach more in the indicative than in the imperative. As Niebuhr said, the language of aspiration is always in danger of becoming soft, but it is possible to avoid that pitfall and yet not sink into habit of cheap scolding. And of course, to return to the issue my friend from the Northwest was raising, it can simply be our desire to make our churches as attractive as possible to draw persons into the circle of the fellowship that undercuts the integrity of the pulpit. It seems to me that numerical growth of a congregation must be the great and wonderful secondary consequence of good preaching and worship, Christian education and mission, and not their primary goal. Church growth is not an unintended consequence. It is fervently hoped for. But if it becomes the primary goal, we all too easily sacrifice too much to it. I hope my preaching is interesting, provocative, challenging, and attractive, as well as faithful to the Word of God. The founder of the Young Life organization once said that it's a sin to bore a kid. I've always felt the same about preaching and the whole congregation. It is sin to bore a congregation. Preaching should be many things, but if it's true to the gospel of Jesus Christ, it should never be boring. And that's from page 108.